Welcome to AfroMovo YouTube channel. Let's get into it real quick. If Australia's visa system had an unofficial slogan in 2026, it would probably be something like, "Hope for the best, mate." Because right now, some applicants are receiving tourist visa approvals faster than online deliveries, while others have been waiting so long for updates that even friends and relatives have stopped asking if there's any progress. And now, May 2026 has added another twist. Australia has once again adjusted visa processing priorities behind the scenes. Certain visa categories are suddenly moving incredibly fast, while others are experiencing noticeable slowdowns. At the same time, immigration scrutiny appears tighter than ever. Applications that might once have slipped through with minor issues are now being examined far more aggressively. A missing document? That raises questions. An unclear bank transaction? That can trigger extra checks. Even small inconsistencies are increasingly being treated as potential red flags under the upgraded system this month. So in this video, we're breaking down the latest Australia visa developments for May 2026, including updated processing times, which visa categories are currently being prioritized, which ones are facing major delays, and the quiet policy shifts that could directly impact your application. Because the reality is this: applying for an Australian visa in 2026 is no longer just about submitting forms and waiting. It has become a game of timing, preparation, strategy, and patience, with a level of stress that many applicants know all too well. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's unpack what is really happening inside Australia's immigration system this month before your IMMI account refresh button starts feeling personally attacked. Let's begin with the biggest update drawing attention right now: the Migration Amendment Act 2026. Yes, this is an actual law. And no, there was no massive public campaign explaining it. The legislation moved through Parliament in just 2 days, which by Australian immigration standards is incredibly fast, considering some people spend longer waiting for a partner visa than they did finding the relationship in the first place. The new law gives the government expanded powers to temporarily prevent certain temporary visa holders from entering Australia during periods considered to involve elevated migration or security risk. In practical terms, that means if a major international situation develops overseas, the government can temporarily pause arrivals from specific groups or visa categories. Importantly, the visa itself is not necessarily cancelled. It simply means entry into Australia can be temporarily restricted until the determination is lifted. Think of it as the immigration version of, "We'll get back to you." So if you are currently outside Australia and planning to travel soon, this is a reminder to stay closely updated on policy announcements and travel conditions before locking in expensive, non-refundable flights. Now, students, this update is especially important for you. Department of Home Affairs is now fully operating under Ministerial Direction 115, and the new traffic light style processing system is having a major impact on student visa timelines.
Here's the basic idea. Education providers are now being grouped into different priority levels: green, amber, and red, depending on how much of their international student allocation has already been used. If your university or college falls into the green zone, meaning it has used less than 80% of its allocation, your application is likely to receive faster priority processing. Amber zone providers, sitting between roughly 80% and 115% of their allocation, are still being processed normally, although timelines may be less predictable and closer to standard assessment speeds. In other words, the system is no longer treating every student application equally. Your processing speed can now depend heavily on which institution you are applying to and how close it is to its enrollment limits. If your education provider falls into the red zone, meaning it has exceeded 115% of its allocation, processing can slow down significantly. At that point, your application is no longer in the fast lane. It moves more like a long regional route, with delays at every stop along the way. So choosing a university in 2026 is no longer just about rankings, tuition, or location. your institution can now directly influence how smoothly your student visa application moves through the system. There is another important update for international students as well. Australia has increased its student visa planning levels for 2026, which means more places are technically available. The opportunity is still there, but scrutiny is also increasing. The system may be more open, but it is also becoming far more selective about who gets through quickly. Now, let's talk about money, because Australia's immigration system has once again raised the financial bar. Starting from July 1, 2026, skilled visa salary thresholds will increase by 3.9%. That means the core skills income threshold will rise from Australian dollars $76,515 to Australian dollars $79,499. For employer-sponsored applicants, this matters a lot. If your offered salary falls below the updated threshold, sponsorship eligibility could become a problem, regardless of whether the employer still wants to hire you. And for businesses already struggling with recruitment costs, these increases will likely make sponsorship decisions even more selective moving forward.
The subclass 482 Skills in Demand visa is still moving relatively quickly under the specialist stream, with around 90% of applications reportedly finalized within roughly 7 to 51 days. But once you move into permanent skilled migration categories, timelines become much longer. The subclass 186 Employer Nomination Scheme visa is currently sitting around 8 to 15 months in many cases. The subclass 189 Skilled Independent visa is averaging about 6 months, although invitation timing remains a major factor. Subclass 190 State-Nominated visas are trending closer to 14 to 16 months. And the subclass 491 Regional Skilled visa can now extend well beyond a year, with many applicants seeing estimates between 16 and 26 months, depending on the state and occupation. So that's your Australia visa processing update for May 2026. The system is moving faster in some areas, slower in others, and overall, far less forgiving when applications contain missing information or inconsistencies. If this update helped you, subscribe for more Australia immigration news, and leave a comment sharing which visa pathway you're currently applying under. And wherever you are in the process, good luck.